and welcome to Meet the Authors. I'm your host, Philip Levin. I've been hosting this show now for a year and really have enjoyed bringing all the authors from our community into your home. So today we have two guests. We have Judy Ambrose, who had a stroke at a young age, and of course, as you would expect, it totally disrupted her life. And she writes about how she recovered from that, and her book is very interesting, a bit fictional, but mostly based on her real life story. And we have Robert Hirsch. Robert Hirsch should be well known to our community here in Ocean Springs. He worked for 40 years in education, ending up as a principal here at Ocean Springs High School. He also has written a series of historic fiction, of which he's publishing the 5th and final episode coming up this October, and he'll be talking about his series. I love to travel. You may have noticed that the last 3 weeks we've been doing reruns because I've been out of the country. I went to France, I went to Russia, and then I went back to Paris. I love Russia. It's just amazing. If people who go to Russia, if people think of Russia as this big communist country. Everything's black and gray and the people are sullen and withdrawn, but that's not Russia at all. Russia is all modern. It's very friendly, and the people are alive, and there's so much going on. It's like New York City, but clean and safe. I highly recommend the visit. I got my little Russian cap here as a souvenir. I'd like to mention that on my YouTube station, put up the YouTube symbol, I have 2 interviews with Russian authors that I did while in St. Petersburg. I have almost 70 videos at all on my YouTube channel, so please have a look there and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll find some great shots there. All of the episodes here from our show, all the authors are available to watch there. And also, I'm looking for advertisers. Put on my email, would you please? Write me if you want to advertise my show, or if you have any comments at this email address, writerpl11@gmail.com. Meanwhile, I keep on writing. I'm working on my 25th book. It's a collection of my short stories about, all based on emergency room episodes, so more about that in future episodes. And I do all sorts of writing. I do some poetry. I had I entered the National Poetry Society contest this last March, and I had 2 honorable mentions, which is actually pretty good. You talk about each entry has over 1,000, each category has over 1,000 entries, and I'd like to read one now, something that's always fun for me to share my work with my audience. Get my little glasses on because we're all getting older, aren't we? And the first one is funny. It's called A Hair-Raising Tale. It's about, the subject was right about hair. At 10, tumbling down hills, racing through the woods, sticks and dirt caked my scalp. At the hands of a stern mother, I endured the bristling comb that left my hair scraggly and scarred. At 20, a bold, impassioned adventurer, I broadcast my wildness with long black curls, waving in the wind like a Siamese dancer, rhythmic gyrations of undaunted vitality. By 30, the coif trimmed close, a sophisticated look for a professional. My serious countenance could only be topped by subjected soldiers at attention. When 40 came, I loosened the leash, sporting a wave that fell to sideburns and a cute little goatee, an intellectual's disguise of thoughtful, harebrained ideas. By 50, little curls ran with a dusting of silver, a cap over wrinkled brow, a statement of authority. The stomach bulged, the knees ached, but the hair kept honor upon my face. Another decade, and the black has fled, long on top to brush over the pink clearing, a patch of baby butt hidden under shading hat, above face lined by years of smiles. An old man of 70, I care not what others think. Fat and sassy, I tell jokes and drink beer with my buddies, now sparse on top. I grow my hair in a ponytail, once again swishing like a Siamese dancer. My poetry is also on my YouTube channel. We're so glad that you could come and invite us into your home, YouTube. In just a few minutes, we'll be back after this break. And then you'll notice in the break that I fill in with a few commercials. I would like to have more supporters, so let us know. The commercials are very inexpensive. Drop me an email at this address, and we'll get your logo, your information here to our 40,000 households. So hang on, we'll be right back with Judy Ambrose and a very interesting tale. Hang on.
We undid tyranny. We undid callousness and hopelessness. We undid evil and evil's evil twin. We've come a long way. We undid impossible and impossibly impossible.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
We undid indignity and carelessness. Just look at all we've undone. Certainly, we can undo overwhelming. It's time to undo climate change. Undo your part. There's a simple, bipartisan solution to climate change Congress needs to hear about. Go to undoyourpart.com.
And welcome back to Meet the Authors. So glad you could stay with us because we have some great authors today. We have Judy Ambrose James. Judy, hello.
Hi,
It's so good to see you.
Nice to see you.
I've met Judy in her selling. She sells at War Memorial Park, her book, and it's a great story. So we're going to start right off. Lift up your book for us and show us this book you created. There, before we do that, War Memorial Park. I don't know if people wear that, but that's where people can get, we do sales there. She sells her book. Sometimes I'm there as well. And it's over at in Past Christian. So Judy, show us your book here. It's called, this is your camera, A Dose of Reality. So put that title up for us. Pretty cover. Who did your cover?
A young lady from Long Beach named Aaliyah Landry.
Aaliyah Landry,
Yes,
huh?
yes. As a matter of fact, I advertised for someone to come and help a starving author who needed a cover, and she came to my aid. And thank you, Aaliyah.
That's nice. And this book is based on your life as a following the stroke. Tell us a little bit about that. When did you have your stroke?
I had my stroke May 17th, 2017, as a matter of 2007. And I was working as a dispatcher at the police station, and it was after Katrina. And so I came home from work to a stroke.
Wow.
A massive stroke that left me paralyzed on my right side. I not only did I lose my right side, but I could no longer, I was put on disability.
You couldn't talk?
Couldn't talk.
Couldn't do you're right-handed, couldn't do any of the things you used to do.
None of the
That's
things.
a scary thought for anybody to think that they
Yes.
could lose their whole life, could be changed that way.
Yes, yes.
And so tell us what happened to you after that.
After that, many years of rehab. And I did not know. I asked God, what am I going to do next? Because retail had been my life. And so I started keeping a journal. And from that journal, it helped me to remember things that were slowly slipping away. And so after that, I ran into, at the market, I ran into Dan Ellis. Mm-hmm. And I asked Dan to read what I thought was just, it wasn't even a manuscript yet. It was the journal. And so Dan read it, and he told me, this is a manuscript. And from there, that's where
your book came from.
Yes.
I think that's so important. Such a good story for anybody. Judy's a first-time author, and so many of you people out there, have these type of life stories and you journal and you can put it together for a book like Judy has done. I think it's amazing. So you're going to read us something, I think.
Yes, yes I am.
And tell us, what are you reading?
I'm going to read you my book review that's telling the audience a little bit about the book. And it's, as a young girl growing up in Summit, Mississippi, Maya Jackson, who is my main character, had witnessed unexplainable miracles. Her grandmother stressed the importance of believing in God, and so she did just that. No questions asked. Now, at the age of 40-something, it is Maya who's in need of a supernatural, miraculous miracle. Since she had always been obedient and gave God the glory, there was no doubt in her mind God's favor saved her life on that starlit night, May 17, 2007. A charismatic, beautiful black woman who, despite not graduating from college, succeed in running a successful hair and women fashion business called A Lady's Touch. For years, she purposely held on to hidden regrets, safely tucked away in the back of her mind. The unthinkable happens. Her best friend, who worked in a hospital in Ohio, phoned with concern in her voice. Carter, aka Real Talk, is there in critical condition. Maya's heart stopped. Just the thought of him opened up what she thought was healed wounds. A twist of fate. Finally, much is at stake if Maya voluntarily takes a trip back to the past. A story told backwards. Maya will finally learn the truth. Will love, prayer, and truth be enough to forgive? So I am a lifelong resident of Pasquistan, Mississippi, and I am the mother of 3 daughters and a grandmother of 4 beautiful granddaughters. They are the reason why I smile. In 2007, I did have a massive stroke, like my character, Maya. And I had a second brain injury in 2016, a subdural hematoma, which left me in a coma. And so I woke up, it woke up my writer's block.
So after the second one, you came up and you were writing,
Yes.
And it's a marvelous story. I mean, these are the type of things that really move your heart. These real stories about people struggling against adversity. And
Yes.
Judy, you've got a fabulous book. So you put this together, you look for an agent, but
Yes.
eventually you self-publish, like so many do. I strongly
Yes.
encourage people to do that.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with self-publishing. And you have this book that you sell. It's available on Amazon too. Put up the Amazon for us. This is where your book can be available in Amazon, and you can get it at the marketplace, or you can they can email you. Can you put up your email address too, please?
Yes.
And there it is. So judyambrose56al.com. But come
Yes.
by and talk with her at the Past Christian Market. I'm there sometimes, and it's just a great opportunity.
Yes.
So, Judy, just tell me just one more thing. So you did have this business, and now what are you doing with your life?
Okay, now I am helping my daughter raise 4 beautiful girls, and I go to market, and I also talk to people. I go to market to talk to people, encourage people, let people know that there is no reason to give up. There is no reason to, because there's God. Right now, I can't use my right side, but God created us that now I use my left side. He created our brains that we just went over to the left side.
Judy, that's a wonderful story. Thank you for coming on. I'll shake your
Thank
hand
you.
goodbye, and
Thank
we're
you.
looking forward to having a lot of people contact you about your book.
Thank you, Dr. Levin. I enjoyed being on the show.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So all of you hang on, because we will be right back after this message with our next guest. Robert Hirsch has a great story to tell. In fact, so a great story that he's put into 5 huge books. And hang on, and after these messages, we'll have Robert Hirsch to talk about his writing.
I'm Dr. Brian Sack.
I has been with him about 8 years.
And Dr. Sack is a good person.
He's a good people person.
Well, we treat the patient with chronic pain.
What the medicine the doctor give me, everything is going good.
Well, here at Pain Stop, our patients are #1.
The pain that I was having, he have it under control and have it as to where I can function every day on a daily basis.
We use different diagnostic and therapeutic injections to help our patients.
Lo que yo le quiero decir especialmente a los puertorriqueños,
And I've had a good experience with the clinic. All the people are very educated and very helpful.
Epidural injections, sympathetic block, facet block injections, and various kind of nerve blocks.
And since I've been referred to him as pain management, he has really helped me.
It's a team effort.
We do our best to manage their pain according to their pathology, and I think we do a really good job. Dr. Sing's a very good doctor.
And I think he's a really good doctor.
que vengan aquí porque esto es un buen doctor.
He's a good doctor, and I'm happy to be associated.
Call 228-273-4096. This is From Father to Son. This is my father and me. My father started writing poetry when he was 65 and wrote until he was 90. He wrote over 200 poems. And I commemorated those poems in a biography form, talking about him and talking about me and our lives together. And this is this poem I wrote about my father. This poem actually won a first place in the Mississippi State Poetry Contest. As a child, my father stuttered, so badly, afraid to make friends. After school, he'd climb into his treehouse with his thick glasses and a stack of books, hiding from the insults of the world. Graduated with a perfect 4.0, he worked on the Manhattan Project and devoted his career to scientific research. My father loved poetry, memorizing and reciting, never stumbling over those words while doing dishes or mowing the lawn. He understood children's failings, never spanking, patience with homework, and our fears, devoted to my mother, his one and only for 65 years. Even now, at 90, living together in the nursing home, with her mind no longer there, she rests her head on his shoulder, and he tells her a poem. These are things that you can do. These share your memories. If you want to get my books, they're available at my website. Place the website, www.doctorstreams.com. Welcome back to Meet the Authors. So glad you could stay with us. We're here today with an author who's very well established and well known here in our local community here in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, where we broadcast from. And his name is Robert Hirsch. Robert.
Thank you for having me.
We're so glad you could come.
I've been looking forward to this all summer.
And we've been looking forward to having you. So glad I can see you laid out in your beach outfit.
I just came from the beach. I'm sorry.
That's good. It's very typical. It makes us feel like we're right here in Ocean Springs. It's a beautiful place in South Mississippi for those of you who haven't visited us yet. So, but we're here to talk about your book. Hold up your book and show it to the camera.
This is actually, Phil, this is book number 2 in a 5-book series. I have completed 4 of the 5, and I'm in the process of writing book 5.
You are prolific and so wordy.
Hopefully book 5 will come out about October.
October, right? Coming up soon.
Yeah, and each of these books are about 550 to
they are thick.
600 pages. So really for serious readers of historical fiction.
It's perfect for beach reading, right?
Oh, absolutely.
spend a whole week reading one of your books, and this is book 2. So when did the first one come out?
First one came out just about 2 years ago, Promise of the Black Monks. And the black monks being the Benedictines because they wore black robes as opposed to brown robes and white robes.
I didn't know the difference.
And the story takes place, starts with a young boy at birth who eventually is abandoned to the Benedictine monks in France, 11th century.
And you lived in France?
Yes, I've actually lived in France for 3 years and attended French schools. So I jumped right into the French culture and actually returned to Paris to research this series 6 years ago.
I just came back from Paris. I have a girlfriend who's French, and she's trying to teach me French, and so far I'm pretty good at bedroom talk, and that's about it.
A French girlfriend,
yeah.
Lucky devil.
Yeah, she's a good one. So you're a historian by nature.
I was a history major in college, and I taught history for about 8 years. But primarily when I lived in Europe, I loved the castles, studied the
who doesn't?
Dark Ages. Oh my
The
gosh.
castles are great.
And I got bit by that historical bug. My first book actually was a book called Contrition, and it was kind of supernatural, contemporary murder mystery. After I got done with that, I said, I want to write something far more serious. So I went back to my love of the Dark Ages. And then things got totally out of hand. I wanted to write one book and be done with it, and the next thing I knew, I had published 4 books and now trying to figure out how to end this.
Everything has to have an ending. Go on forever. But this is set in the Dark Ages. You're telling me, I think, 11th century?
Yes.
Before the First Crusade?
Yes. The first book starts with Pope Gregory and the Benedictines, and book 5 that I'm working on will be actually the capture of Jerusalem by the First Crusaders, which the First Crusade, by the way, was the only crusade that we won.
Yeah.
That the Christians won.
Took them by surprise.
Yes, we did.
Who would have expected
Literally.
all these Christians come from all from Europe?
Literally.
Yeah. I love historic fiction. I love being that you really get into the mood and you feel like you're in a different world.
And life was so tenuous back then.
Oh,
I mean, life, the value of a life was probably worth less than the dirt it took to bury a guy.
Particularly if you were a serf or somebody like that, you had no value.
But even the nobility, I mean, they, mortality in terms of war and revolt and everything else, it was just a difficult time to survive. And I like to write about the human condition, and I've always felt that we as humans, we like to think we're in control of our destiny, and we are not. I feel that we're all thrown into time and circumstances that we can't control, whether it's war, starvation, the economy, being abandoned by family. I mean, so many things.
It's such a coincidence. I mean, I was born in America, raised in America, and had this great life. My life has been blessed in so many ways. But we know about your history is totally different. You were born just before the Korean War, and you had to hide, or you had been murdered as a baby and had your hair shaved. Tell us a little bit about that life.
Well, I was born in 1948. My mother was Korean, and she was not married, but she fell in love with an American GI from Wisconsin. She was pregnant. He promised to marry her and take both of us to America. Well, when he came back to the States, he fell in love with a raven-haired beauty from Slocum, Alabama, married her, forgot about us. My grandparents, being good German Catholics, said, we will not leave a grandchild of ours in Korea starving to death during the war. So they worked. It took them about 3 to 4 years. They managed to get me over to the States. My mother sent me to my grandparents, and I met her 40 years later.
Wow.
You know, we reunited.
Took you 40 years to see your mother again.
Yeah, and I really, you know, I was a child. Kids are resilient. I really just, my heart is broken for what my mother went through because she just suffered for 40 years and felt guilty and was worried and everything else. So it was a wonderful reunion.
Tell us, you're going to read a little bit. You said the prologue or the dedication?
Well, yeah, I could read
1,000
action scenes, but what I'd really like to do, Phil, is read the dedication to my grandparents.
Oh, what a
okay, they are both deceased.
Very applicable since we just had a story about them.
Rather than read an action section.
But there's plenty of action in the book, just trying to reassure everybody. It's a very
oh yeah, it is full of war and intrigue, but this is the dedication I wrote. This book is dedicated to my beloved paternal grandparents, Tressie and Leo Hirsch of Medford, Wisconsin, tiny little dairy town. Despite having never set eyes on me other than in pictures, despite their humble status as county dairy farmers, and despite impossible government red tape exacerbated by war, they struggled tirelessly about 4 years to see that I was able to escape war-torn Korea in 1953 and establish a new future in America. And my life in America, Phil, has just been incredible. You know, so I am so thankful. This they accomplished only through unwavering perseverance, their own innate, deeply ingrained goodness, their inviolable love of family, and the generous assistance of United States Representative from Wisconsin, Mr. Alvin Edward Okonski, who was deceased in 1987. So it was a miracle that I got to come here and just enjoy the fabulous life that I've had.
God bless America. Not too.
Amen.
Amen to that. So this is wonderful. So you're going to be finishing your 5th book. It'll be out in October.
Yes.
And then are you going to be, what are you going to be doing?
I have loved writing. It is a dream come true. I started dreaming of publishing. I just wanted to publish one book. That dream started in high school and college. And after 40 years of education, the only reason I retired, I loved education, but I said if I don't retire now and write, I will never accomplish that dream. I just had no idea it was going to turn into 6 books.
And which is a good lesson for all of us. Everybody, you have a dream to write. You don't necessarily have to retire, but sit down, get your book out. You'll be glad you did, as shown by both of the authors we have today. And Bob's been on the advertised in the New York Times. He's got his books. He's been on multiple book signings. He's really a very successful author. Thanks so much for coming on our show.
Phil, thanks so much for having me. I mean, just such a pleasure to talk to you. And I've also done some book signings with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's always good to run into you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. We have a good community here of writers, and we'll have more of them coming on our show in the next few shows. So in addition to that, I'm going to be putting in some of my interviews. Check them out on YouTube, and they'll be here on our show soon. So come back and visit us again on Meet the Authors next week.